Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, Magnetic Reversal News, Sacred Geography, and Shinrin Yoku, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Saturday, March 4th, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time, 2023. A massive coronal mass ejection was shot off the sun, recorded as M5.8. This is care of active region 3234, the sunspot group that shot off an X 2.0 just 24 hours ago, turned behind the limb and shot off an even bigger coronal mass ejection. This baby would have been quite significant headed towards Earth. The good news, it is not geo-effective. The big story, West Coast snowfall is a once-in-a-generation phenomenon. Keep calm. It's deep out there. Power outages linger, more snow is coming, and warming centers are open. And we're talking about the historic snow in the Sierras. A new storm to bring yet more heavy snow to California, 4 to 6 feet in the next few days. And some California mountain residents will in fact be snowed in for another week. Homes are literally buried, and we're going to get to some video footage in just a second. But there is a weather alert. A winter storm system bringing heavy snow to Michigan. Well, we're going to get the full forecast in just a moment as Maine's winter storm moves out, leaving piles of heavy snow in its wake, many regions picking up a foot or more. Here is the snowfall analysis as of just 6 a.m. The snow is still falling in the Northeast, but many areas picked up a foot. That's the orange. One area in Vermont here picking up 18 inches, probably at 24 now. So heavy snow in New York, nothing, or heavy snow in the Northeast, nothing hit New York or Philly. But that could change as houses are literally buried in the West. 4 to 6 more feet are coming. For this region here, another 3 feet is expected. And it's insane. I mean, literally, these homes are at risk of being crushed. Take a look at some of the roads. There is literally no place to put snow. Yeah, they had a kind of cool shot of a guy moving snow here. Take a look at that. That's the only way to do it, and eventually the piles are too high to even move the snow. So they're approaching critical maximum in the Sierras as more snow is predicted. And the UAH satellite-based temperatures came out today. Thank you, Dr. Roy Spencer, for sending us over the data. Take a look. The February temperature's just 0.08 degrees above the 30-year baseline. There is no global warming. We've been below and above the baseline over the last 60 days, meaning we're exactly where we were 3 decades ago. Ho, ho, ho. More snow coming in March. Here is your forecast through your Sunday fun day. Take a look at that. Up to 4 feet of snow could fall in the next 24 hours in the northern Sierras, right next to Tahoe. But it looks like a little lull in the Tahoe region there. The southern Sierras also picking up snow as that clipper continues to hit the northeast. Here's the system moving over the northern plains and through Wisconsin and Michigan. That's going to be through Monday and Tuesday. That's their lose day where they could be picking up a heavy swath, 16 inches or more. And that'll be north of Kalamazoo, which is going to basically pick up almost nothing. And we're not bluffing. Heavy snow will continue in the west. Take a look at this. This is through March 10th. So we're going to see a couple systems moving through the northern plains. Could be insane. Up to 2-3 feet of snow here in North Dakota predicted through March 11th and 12th. That's the forecast. Well, not really. Here's the full forecast. Winter storms impacting the Northeast and the West Coast simultaneously. Fire weather concerns in the southern plains. 2 winter storms are impacting the country now. One across the Northeast corridor and the other approaching the West Coast. Snow and wind will continue for the Northeast today as the system slides off the coast this evening. The next storm approaching the west will bring additional heavy snow for high elevations and gusty winds. Dry, warm conditions for portions of the southern plains into Sunday. And then, as we showed the thermodynamics yesterday, it will be a cool pattern for weeks for most of the U.S. Seismic update, no quakes of note. We had a big rocker, 6.9 in the Kermadec Islands of New Zealand. Could be coronal hole related. It was a deep rocker. No one felt that. All is quiet on the Western Front. Worldwide volcano news update. Nothing else spectacular to report. All is currently in normal conditions. We did have this long duration M 5.2 flare. I said 5.8 earlier. I do apologize. It was 5.2. Who knew? But the reason no one is reporting on it, including SolarHam and spaceweather.com, is because, well, it was around the back side of the sun. There it is. There is the imagery. And let's just play it through and see if we can get some of these to play. Boom. So we're back with the boom. Here you can see as it moves towards 1600 hours, as of today, 16, boom. And that's where the boom happens. And we could slow this way down to get the full effect. There's the boom coming out. Quite a spectacular explosion. And let's speed it up. And we'll just stop it. And then we'll just step it through for you. So right as we approach 1600, right there you can see, right at 1600, the flare coming off. And that's actually shooting out backwards away from Earth. But a significant amount of plasma. This is a massive coronal mass ejection. It would probably be X4 if it'd be facing us, maybe larger. There's no way to know, but it did register at a high M5 flare, Earth-facing. So that is a spectacular coronal mass ejection, and we'll keep you posted. As it appears, the sun is, well, going to go quiet. We have just a couple tiny spots peppering the sun. This spot looked like it might be productive. It's breaking down and getting smaller and is not, well, there are very few threats of any flaring with any of these spots. So kind of weak. The SFI solar indices should be dropping over the next few days because I don't see any activity increasing on those sunspots. Now, a little dragon. We've been talking about all these different species over the last few years that have been rediscovered, or new species that have never been known that have been found. And this is all in the wake of the climate disaster that is killing everything on Earth. But maybe it isn't. A little dragon was found on an uninhabited Australian island, and it's a brand new species, a species of gecko. And this is the man responsible for collecting, I think, almost 80 of them in one day. And it is named the leaf-tailed gecko. Look at this cute little dragon here. What a nice little looking fellow. The newly discovered gecko is about 6 inches long. It has knobby leaf-shaped tail with a V-shaped white band on it. They're big and quite prickly, according to Hoskin. And they blend in with the rock. Look at this aerial shot here. It almost looks like a fossil. They have very good camouflage, which is why they've been hidden so long from humanity, and we just discovered them. Another discovery is a hummingbird. Now, people have been staring at hummingbirds for decades. In fact, centuries. And the fact that we haven't noticed the golden-collared hummingbird is anyone's guess. The gold-throated hybrid in the center and its pink-throated parent, Heliodoxa and Heliodoxa gularis, are kept in the Field Museum collection. So apparently this is a hybrid from two different species commingling. And that has a lot to do with evolution, which we'll get to at the end of the show, ho-ho. As a bright new comet is discovered zooming towards the sun that could outshine the stars next year. This is our next big hope of an electric comet creating a spectacle in the sky. And the newly discovered comet C 2023A3 is making a close approach around the sun for the first time in 80,000 years. It might be as bright as a star in fall of 2024. And here we do have a graphic. No, we don't. It's probably on the next shot. But in late October of 2024, this may assume a brightness of -5, which would be approaching the brightness of Venus, for goodness sakes. So that could be a spectacular. It is new comet C 2023A3, and it could be bright in 2024. Al Gore's aboard. And here you can see that magnitude approaching -5 here, sometime in October of 2024. We know very little about the proprieties of the comet as of yet. It was just discovered, so we're going to keep a close eye on it now as it transits somewhere outside near Saturn, headed its way to the inner solar system very rapidly. Do they have a speed on it? I imagine it's traveling anywhere between 30 and 50,000 miles an hour. Oh, this comet has an amazing blazing speed of 180,610 miles per hour. My goodness. Or 80.74 kilometers per second. So it's going to be at the inner solar system quite rapidly. So stay tuned for more boom. Now take a look at this. A new image captures a supernova that was first observed in the year 185. And now we can see the shell. This is the dust shell. And you can see how differential it is. Huge areas of plasma here, and more diffuse all around. This could be a similar occurrence to what Ben Davidson refers to as the micronova, albeit there's no evidence that that actually occurs on our star. It is happening potentially on other stars where the star explodes, there is a shell, and the star remains. I don't see a remaining star in the center of this supernova, however, so it may have in fact met its death. And the ring-like shell of the first recorded supernova was captured by the dark energy cameras on the Victor M. Blanco telescope at the Cerro Tolo International American Observatory in Chile. The glowing debris, we can't even open this in a new tab. Let's see if we can. No, we can't. Oh my goodness. So the glowing debris marks where the white dwarf star exploded 1,800 years ago. That was recorded by Chinese astronomers in the year 185. And the star, in this case, is missing. What say you, Mr. Davidson? Now, the most detailed geological model reveals Earth's past 100 million years. And this is significant because this is the most recent 100 million years till now, which means we know the most about it. And climate, tectonics, and time combine to create powerful forces that craft the face of our planet. And I don't think that the geologists got it right. I think that geologic changes happen quite rapidly and unexpectedly, and well, we're in for a show if we're alive during the next phase of geologic change. And here's the paper, hundreds of millions of years of landscape dynamics from catchment to global scale. So all the links will be below to all of the articles and papers we talked to. This one just coming out 2 days ago. Now, do you know about the loudest sound that ever blew out people's eardrums? Yeah, as far as 40 miles away, people's ears bled. We're talking about none other than the eruption of Krakatoa. And in fact, at 10:02 a.m. on August 27th, 1883, an island in Indonesia collapsed as tsunamis sent 150-foot tsunami waves tearing into the oceans as far as South Africa. This marks the moment in history that the infamous Krakatoa volcano erupted, kicking off what is thought to have been the loudest sound ever. Well, I disagree because there have been larger explosions and eruptions prior to this, but this is the loudest sound ever recorded that we have documentation of. Now, we all know about the eruption. It was created the year without a summer, but there are some accounts of people actually being there. As the loudest sound ever tipped 194 decibels, which is the loudest sound possible in air, that is how loud the sound was near the eruption site. The air pressure changed from a perceivable sound to a pressurized burst of air that ruptured the eardrums of sailors on a ship that was within 64 kilometers of the island. And here's the account from the ship. So violent are the explosions that the eardrums of over half of my crew have been shattered. This is from the captain's log of the British ship Norham Castle. And I quote, "My last thoughts are with my dear wife. I am convinced that the day of judgment has come." The same shockwave continued to fly across the planet, growing quieter as it traveled further away, but it took some distance to peter out. According to Brule and Kajir, it could still be heard like a cannon fire at a distance of 3,000 miles from Krakatoa. The wave of pressure would go around to wrap the globe several times in each direction, with shock waves occasionally colliding elsewhere on the planet, creating extra pressure spikes. It was called the Great Airwave, similar to the eruption of Hunga Tonga, which we just experienced. That would be the second largest eruption ever recorded in history other than Krakatoa in recent times. Now, this article made me giggle. Minoan civilizations may have used celestial navigation techniques. Apparently, they didn't get the memo about the Minoan eclipse calculator and the fact that the Minoan civilization were advanced archaeoastronomers. I guess they missed the memo. Now, this is fascinating. Coming out yesterday, time travel might be possible using spinning lasers, according to physicists. Physicist Ronald Millett believes that a spinning laser loop can bend time, leading to time travel. He even has a prototype to test the idea. What say you? Well, I know what I say. Yes! Everything in physics is completely made up. And that's the whole point. So, while this idea may sound plausible, it's made up and it's a fairy tale. So I hope his spinning lasers show some, well, potential, because it's just a fairy tale, like all of physics. And the entire, well, the world we're living in is a fairy tale. Let's take, for instance, East Palestine, where echoes of a toxic explosion and the EPA clash. There are contaminants. There will be long-term concerns, and they're just getting the data in. Several key contaminants tested below levels of concern, if you believe the concerned people. But there are at least one chemical, acrolein, which could pose long-term concerns. They didn't talk about dioxin in any of it, so I don't believe any of this analysis, and I certainly won't be buying any property in East Palestine anytime soon. Now, here's a funny article. Scientists are using satellites to track the greening of Earth. Now, this was proven by NASA about a decade ago in a groundbreaking paper that they came out with that no one talks about. Rising CO2 is plant food. It causes the greening of Earth, which mitigates any warming because it creates more shade and it protects groundwater and keeps that water in the ground. But these alarmists don't want the greening of the Earth to happen. In fact, they want you to be scared to death and to think that the Earth is dying with the increase in CO2. When the reality is that CO2 causes greening, which is beneficial to the biome and all species. You want to know more about real science and real practical knowledge? Come to the San Luis Valley Seed Exchange, April 1st and 2nd in Moffett, Colorado, where Leah and I will be speaking. I just clicked on the 2023 speakers, and they do have the information up. The theme was Backyard Gardener, and there are going to be 7 talks, probably on Saturday. See here, the schedule is coming soon. Byron Pike, Taylor Bereth, and of course, Diamond and Leah Shaper. We're going to be talking about permaculture in Zone 5A. We're going to cover greenhouses, hoop houses, living soils, seed breeding, backyard gardening, beekeeping, animal husbandry, water conservation, healthy soils, permaculture, building soils, food forests, seed saving, food and sovereignty, and more. So come join us while we give out over £1 of free cannabis, have some awesome products to check out and maybe purchase. Leah's going to be showcasing her very high-end jewelry, which probably no one can afford. And a lot of other cool people are going to be there. A good friend of mine, Tyler Bereth, from Breads and Botanicals. This dude grows mushrooms downstairs from his house and then sells it to the public in a farm-to-table operation in Saguache. That's totally awesome. So check out Breads and Botanicals if you're ever in Saguache, Colorado, and support them and the work they're doing. Byron Pike, my friend Tyler, and many others are going to be talking about really important stuff. Lineage Seeds. Jared Haygood. Kelly Bull will be there talking about permaculture design, and Nick DiDomenico using ecosystem design and forest ecology. I can't wait to watch all of this stuff. Lots of good stuff happening at the San Luis Valley Seed Exchange. Be there or be square. And also, be at our premiere in just 75 minutes, which is probably less, just about 20 minutes after the ending of this video, over at Magnetic Reversal News, where Leah and I do a full scientific analysis of all the scientific endeavors into the theory of evolution and where we are now in the understanding of evolutionary leaps and magnetic excursions. And that is a boom to knowledge. Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. I hope you got something out of the video. This was a deep dive with many topics. But please join us over at Magnetic Reversal News for the real skinny on what your future holds. Subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up. It helps with the algorithm. Become a Patreon. Support the work we do. We love you. Be safe.